Both of these can be dysfunctional and there can be collusion. This is the typical boss. And this, when we get stuck in command and control and we really prefer it and we begin to come up with reasons why it's more efficient to do command and control, the interesting thing is that it is quicker in that instance to get things done. But when we get stuck here, we got to have some people to boss down here. And we will begin to do some things like withhold information so they have to ask us what to do, so we get to feel like the most important person. And so we begin to be a roadblock, and you'll notice this dotted line. We call this getting above the line. You'd write that in. And interestingly, in order to get above the line, you've got to have the courage to set your ego aside and be dependent when you don't know something. Excuse me, I'm never going to use this Xerox machine. It's more complex than the one I've used. Can you help me learn how to duplicate on two sides simultaneously? If we're stuck here, we may not be willing to reveal that we don't know. We'd rather stumble through and make a mistake and maybe cause problems than to be vulnerable and say, I've never done this. I've never used the mailing labels. I am not sure how this phone system works. Could you please take some time to help me with this software program? It really takes courage to be in this role, and yet knowing when you don't know and being good at asking for help is critically important. At the same time, taking responsibility once you've been given an assignment, being able to follow through is critically important if you're going to get up here. But what Dwayne was talking about is often we get stuck down here for various reasons, usually having to do with our ego or our fear around blame. And you'll notice the word blame down here. Have you heard the word codependence? That's all about being down here, where I'm afraid about being blamed. So instead of looking at how can we learn from this, I'm between the ears thinking about, ooh, I don't want to be the one at fault. And I really don't want to talk about what happened, because what if it turns out that I'm the one at fault? When you get above the line, it's a very different way of thinking. It's not who did it, it's how can all of us learn from what happened so none of us will make that mistake again. And if you can't make it safe for yourself and others to talk about it, then you will spend a lot of time down here. When you get above the line, the operative word is we, yeah, or us, either one. And here your thinking is, how can we use all of our talents in the most effective ways? And interestingly, one person can't lead or control that. You're the only one that knows when you're caught up and have some discretional time to help other people. So looking around, how can I help? You're the only one that knows when you're going under and you've got more than you can do. So to say, is there anyone who can help me? In planning, you're the only one that can really look ahead around all the things you have to do, because nobody else knows what's going on at home as well as at work. And so learning to get above the line and begin to think collaboratively. You have to go from scarcity mentality, which you might write in here. That simply means that I don't believe there's enough to go around. Above the line, it's abundance mentality, and the belief is if we really think about it, there's going to be a third right answer, which means something better than the way you want it to be or the way I want it to be. We can come up with something that will honor your needs and my needs, and almost always it's better for the community. A third right answer. But it has to do with thinking collaboratively. If you put an arrow along the side and you label this trust, you'll see that this is where I don't trust myself, and I may or may not trust others. Here I'm learning to trust me to do what I say, but that's where my ego gets stuck. And there's another word I want you to write in at the middle level, and that is competition. Are you aware that competition can be highly addictive? And many of us get stuck at that level, and we go around saying, I'm highly competitive. And it's the way we motivate ourselves. It's the primary way we motivate ourselves, and it's the way we motivate others. And when we over-rely on competition, we will keep the whole organization below the line. In fact, pitting one department against the other will polarize people's thinking. And then when we want them to pull together around a common effort, we've already ingrained them into, no, I'm not going to do that because I want to be the person that gets the credit, and I want my team to get the credit, and so we're not going to share time or resources. And there are different ways to motivate, but it is a maturity leap to get up here. When you get above the line, it's what can we do together that's best for the whole. So what you'll see is you've got much more to draw from.